Hello everyone and welcome back. This time I have something a little bit different for you. This is a number 31 Husky Oldsmobile Starfire Coupe. Back in the day, just like today, different manufacturers made cheaper budget versions of die-cast cars for people to buy. Husky was one of those companies. This car represents the 1964 Oldsmobile Starfire and was originally sold for 39 cents in the States. Even at 39 cents, they were able to include an opening luggage compartment in the back. This car has an all-plastic base and feels super light compared to other die-cast cars at the time period. No doubt this is how they could get to that 39-cent price point. I picked up this car for around 50 cents at a die-cast show. The plastic wheels on this car look very much like vintage Matchbox wheels, and that's what caught my attention. As you can see, this car is in extremely rough shape. Much of the paint and chrome have been lost to time and play, but amazingly nothing is broken, which led to my desire to restore and customize this car. So I'll get started by drilling out all 5 of its rivets. Speaking of rivets, I would have loved to have seen how they put this car together back in the day. I would assume that they had used some orbital type riveters to mushroom the post. With 5 rivets in strange places, and given how thin the metal is, I would assume that they had a lot of crushed cars at the beginning of the run. The plastic is very brittle compared to modern cars. Squeezing the car gives you the feeling that you could just crush it with your bare hands. The internal plastic is a joke. I'll show a close-up later in the video, but the steering wheel is not even with the seat, and instead sits way over in the corner. You could only drive this car with your right hand. There wouldn't be any room for your left. Scale and detail was obviously not a concern when they made the seats. The windshield is in remarkably good shape given the life this car has had. Once again, it feels like an eggshell that you could easily crush if you weren't careful. Here's what the car looked like after I removed the paint. Manufacturers today and back then relied heavily on thickness of paint to cover up casting flaws. If you look at the details of this car, you'll notice that the door handles are raised really high and the panel lines are huge. This is done so that the paint doesn't bury the door handles and miss the panel lines. You can see here a huge gash on the side of the car. This is not from play, but is a casting issue as there's flashing around the gash. The mold Husky used may have been going bad and developing cracks that led in the material. I'll need to fix this later. For now, I'll remove all the flashing issues on the car using an emery board. To repair the gash, I'll first sand down the flashing even with the body, and then apply the putty to fill in the hole. When the putty dries, I'll stand it level with the body. I put masking tape on the car to make sure that none of the putty made it into the panel line where it would be difficult to remove. With the initial sanding done on the car, I'll go around with a dental pick to clean up the panel lines. The mold that made this car was definitely reaching the end of its life, and many of the panel lines are not as well defined as they should be. The dental pick will deepen these lines and also remove any paint left by the stripper and sandpaper. This is not always a necessary step, and you do run the risk of making a deep scratch in the car body if you're not careful. So here's the body after all the sanding was done. It's still looking a bit rough, but after I prime it, you can see that things are looking much better. Gone is all the flashing and the gash on the side. I noticed after priming the trunk that the area where the hinge riveted on was showing up through the primer. This is why priming the vehicles is always a good idea, as it shows these types of errors extremely well and allows you to fix them before you paint. To fix this, I'll apply some putty and allow it to dry. Once it's dry, I will sand until smooth and then respray the primer and allow that to dry. You can see here that the rivets are completely hidden. While a lot of issues on this car can be fixed, some cannot. Here you can see that the panel lines on the driver's side match up, but when I flip the car around, the panel lines are off and the base protrudes past the rear well. So much for quality control. With all the parts primed, it's time to put on the first coat. In this case, it will be a chrome metallic undercoat. This paint is made by Vallejo and is part of their acrylic metal color paints. These work great because they do not lose their luster when you apply paint on top of them, unlike most metallic paints. The application is also very simple as they come pre-mixed for the airbrush. I just simply apply several light coats. I want a shiny surface for my undercoat. Anytime I do this, I get people instructing me to paint the car glossy black before applying any metal paints, as it gives a better chrome effect. I agree it does, but it really doesn't give as great an effect using this paint. Here you can see 2 spoons that I painted with this chrome paint, one white and one black. The black does look a little more shiny, but really not by much. Not worth all the extra effort in my opinion. I know the internet is full of videos of people painting on different materials on glossy black surfaces and getting great results, but what you typically don't see is them clear coating over those surfaces. Most of these products I have tried look great until you clear coat over them. All the shiny surface just disappears the moment you spray on the clear coat. These acrylic metal flake paints, however, are not affected by clear coats, and that's why I use them. If you know of a product that gives a chrome-like look that I can clear coat over, then please let me know below. If you can't clear coat over it, then it's pretty much useless to me. Okay, so here's how the silver paint came out after it dried. Now I need to come up with a color that will look good with those green plastic wheels this car comes with. So I chose to go with a Spectraflame olive color. This is one of those colors that is sort of a pain to paint, as it needs dozens of coats to get to a dark color. But once done, it is a really nice color for this time period. Here you can see that the paint looks reasonably shiny, but has some specks of dust and other issues that need to be fixed. To fix them, I'll polish the car like you've seen in all my past videos, which will get me to this point. So with the body painted, I can now move on to the other parts of the car. The wheels and axles come off this car with ease. You simply pull up on the plastic tab and they will pop out. You can see that the axles have rusted over time. To remove the rust, I will place both axles in some plain white vinegar and leave overnight. This will remove the rust. Here you can see the windshield is in pretty grimy shape. Lots of really small scratches give a fog look to the plastic. This is easy to remove by simply polishing the plastic with a buffing wheel. I have several videos on cleaning up windshields if you're interested in doing this. Now that the paint has several days to cure, I can add some details to this car. To start, I'm going to add chrome to the door handles and other parts of the car. A subscriber made me aware of these chrome pins, and now I wonder how I lived without them. They come in 1mm or 2mm sizes and give amazing results. Definitely try one out. There are several manufacturers that make them. For the rear tail lights, I will go back to using a Sharpie. A Sharpie is transparent, so when I mark over the tail lights, the silver paint below comes through. This adds more dimensions to the tail lights than painting over them with an opaque color. For the side markers, I'll use a yellow enamel color by Testers. I apply this by using a toothpick, another trick subscribers made me aware of. Alright, once everything dries, I can start putting this car back together. The wheels snap back in with ease on the base, and the windshield's a bit of a pain as it's used as a holding piece in the trunk. But once you get it in, the rest of the car goes together just like any other. I didn't need any screws to hold this car together. 5 rivets work fine. Plus all the rivets are done in such a way that you really couldn't drill and tap most of them. So here's how it looked after I was done. As I said before, there are some things on this car that just can't be fixed. But overall, I like the way this turned out. It's fun to restore or customize a car you don't see every day. By the way, if you like these type of restoration videos, then might I point out another channel that specializes in toy restorations also. This channel is called Toy Polloi, and is one of those channels that's fun to binge watch for a couple hours. You get a nice heaping dose of nostalgia, and each video I'm amazed he's able to pull off the restoration with simple parts he finds in other toys. So if you get a chance, swing by his channel and subscribe. I'll leave links in the video and in the description. After you're done subscribing, grab a beverage of your choice as he has over 473 videos. As a fun drinking game, take a drink each time he fixes a toy with Lego parts. Seriously, it's a great channel and he should have way more subscribers than he has. So as always, thanks for watching my channel and I'll see you guys next time.